I'm 230 pounds, down from 280 during my years as a starting lineman at Penn State, 6'4" when I slouch, and used to getting what I want from people. It's been an adjustment, accepting just how weak that Kaylee, all 66 pounds of her, can make me feel. I know that I'm not supposed to give my 10-year-old daughter anything she wants, but when she gets moody, sulky, or irrational, and I know that I'm the cause, well, I just don't feel all that strong anymore. She's used to getting what she wants from me. I guess the apple doesn't fall very far, huh? Anyway, that's how I ended up on a cruise to Mexico. Kaylee loves reading about history and other cultures. That shit comes from her mom without a doubt. Reading was something that I only ever did out of necessity, but she tore through books about Aztecs, Olmec, and Mayan cultures faster than I could figure out how to pronounce the titles. She researched this cruise herself, and she even made a fucking spreadsheet about prices and excursions. She asked to take a family trip. I said no, and we booked it shortly thereafter. I'm used to feeling strong. Nothing made me feel weaker than the times when Kaylee was hurting. The night terrors when she was 5 left no memory with her, but I'll admit that I cried when I didn't know what to do when she woke up screaming. When she fell out of a tree at age 8, I started the precedent of buying her anything she wanted. That began with her reptile phase. I bought more toy lizards and dinosaurs than I knew existed. By the time she was 9, I was actually skipping prime Sunday NFL time to watch ballet recitals. I know that the best parent isn't an indulgent one, but it's hard to be confident on the day that you realize that your child is more intelligent than you. Remember, the ship's guide announced to the group, this stretch of beach is a nature preserve. No one lives here. No one takes anything from here. She shifted her sunglasses and looked away from the small tour group and down the ramp to the dock. I scanned her body when her face was turned. Not bad overall, at least an 8. And before you judge me for looking, I'll have you know that my wife is a 10 in my eyes. She's the only person besides Kaylee who makes me uncomfortably weak. I'd do anything for my family. There's a Mayan saying about this area. The heart of the land belongs to us all because we come from the earth. We take nothing from the earth without giving something back. It's a beautiful beach, folks, so please take nothing but photos. My name is Sarah if you have any questions. She flashed a sweet but manufactured smile and led the group down the ramp and onto the shore. Look, Daddy, it's a heart! Kaylee squinted in the bright daylight despite her little pink sunglasses and handed me a warm piece of obsidian. Can I have it? I took it from her and stared at the rock. It was indeed heart-shaped, 4 inches long, and rather out of place in this rocky beach. Everything else was smooth and tan. I sighed. No, Kaylee. The nice lady said that we can't take anything from the beach. I explained firmly. I know, but can I take it? We took it. Morning, sweetness, I said, tussling her hair as I passed by her sleeping frame, empty coffee mug in hand. She mumbled in response. I loved getting up early. Kaylee hated it. My heart secretly ached when I thought about just how much more of my wife was in Kaylee than I was. She sat up in her bed, her hair a wasp's nest of chaos. "I'm sorry about the bees," she offered, eyes still mostly closed. "What's that now?" I asked, pouring myself a cup of coffee. Her eyes didn't move. "When I found the giant bees, I wanted to look at them because I didn't know that they could be so big. You told me to get away because it wasn't safe. Then I laughed and you yelled at me. I'm sorry I laughed. They all yelled at me." She blinked and looked around, blaringly. "Well, maybe it was a dream." I looked at her with mild concern. Heavy sleeper that she was, Kaylee rarely talked about remembering any of her dreams. Even the night terrors didn't have an impact on her, and she never had any recollection of them the following morning. "Come on, sweet thing," I responded, trying to push it away from my mind. "Let's get out of bed. We're set to go scuba diving today." I tried and failed to ignore the memory of the buzzing sound that had woken me the night before. I couldn't ignore what happened that next night. Kaylee had been reading some books about the native species of southeastern Mexico. These books had led to internet searches about different animals. Her curious mind never satisfied. "Did you know that some bats have tongues that are longer than their bodies? And that the kraken was probably based on a real giant squid? Dad? Dad!" I smiled and asked her what we might see on land tomorrow. She dove back into her book and fell asleep within minutes. And I chose to leave her undisturbed. That's when she started screaming. Do you have any idea how much noise a 10-year-old girl can make? The answer is no, unless you've heard one rip the night with a soul-chilling shriek. She'd been asleep on the fold-out couch when she sat up. Still asleep, she opened her mouth. I was sure the other passengers would report an attempted homicide. I was able to hold her trembling frame and rock her back and forth until the screaming stopped. Then she fell back over, still out cold, and I left to take a walk. I was only crying a little. It was well after midnight, and most people were back in their bunks. My wandering took me to a remote passage near the stern of the ship. The lighting was dim, with weak lamps spaced at 15-foot intervals and darkness in the gaps between. In retrospect, I think that it was near the crew's quarters, but my aimless wandering had no apparent destination. I nearly shit myself when a man emerged from the shadow. "Sorry," the man shot at me, clearly rattled himself. "Sorry, I thought I heard a kid screaming, so I ran out here. Did you see anything?" He emerged into the fuller illumination of the hallway lamp. He was just a kid, really, one of the employees of the boat. I guess I really had wandered off the beaten path. What could I say? That the screaming kid is exactly what had sent me out here? Sorry, no. Just out stretching my legs. The kid didn't seem too relaxed. "Okay, sir, why don't you head back to your bunk? I've been hearing a lot of..." He cut himself off and looked into the air like he had sensed something odd. I was about to ask him what it was when the sound came. Do you have any idea what a hiss mixed with a growl sounds like? Neither did I, but here it was, creepy, eerie, and extremely discomforting. It was followed by an odor so overpowering that it nearly knocked me on the floor. It smelled of fish and decay. That's when the spider's leg emerged from the shadows of my right and slammed onto the floor. I was far too shocked to react at first. It was 8 feet tall and had crashed the metal walkway right next to the kid. He froze completely pale. Then the other leg landed right next to him. The hissing growl followed, horrifyingly vibrating the floor. And I saw that they were not legs at all. They were wings. What had seemed like giant spider legs were actually the claws of an enormous bat. Shimmering green scales hung down from the appendages like jewels. What I was seeing was completely impossible. It made no sense at all. So I turned to run. But to my left, in the darkness on the far side of the weak lamp, I saw the tentacles, long, green, filled with suction cups, tipped in a triangular appendage. At least a dozen of them. The owner of the tendrils remained in the darkness. We were trapped, and then it got worse. At first, I thought it was a snake crawling across the floor to my right, arriving to complete the impossible, unholy trinity of coils from the darkness. Then I realized that it was a tongue. It slithered across the ground, 1/2 foot wide and 5 feet long. It left a trail of thick, gooey saliva in its wake. It turned and rose up in the air like a snake being charmed, and lovingly tapped the kid's neck. Ghostly white, he stared wide-eyed at me. The only part of his body that was willing to budge was his lips. He mouthed a silent, "Help me. Help me," before the tongue spun around him like a vortex, pinning his arms to his side and sliding its thick, slimy tip into his mouth. The kid slammed to the floor and the tongue dragged him into the darkness with a thick, screeching sound. He never broke eye contact with me as he slid into the obscurity. Soon, all that was left of him was a dropped name tag, oozing with thick saliva, the word Corey, just visible in the dim lamplight. Only when I started to breathe and move freely once more did I realize that I had been frozen in place. I looked to the left and saw the green tentacles slide away as well. 2 thoughts bombarded me at the same time. Go back to the room to make sure your family is safe. Collided with, if you leave him now, Corey will certainly die. What would you have done? Answer that before you judge me. Because I turned to leave. Because I turned to the left and sprinted towards my family's room. I knew that he was someone else's kid, but his father wasn't here. Kaylee's father was. My fears grew with each step as I raced back to room 3191. I was almost certain that I could see the tip of the tentacle whip around every corner just ahead of me. It was as though the thing was taunting me and doing a damn good job of it. I heard the door creak shut as I sprinted around the final corridor to our room. No. I reached my hand out, sweaty and shaking, and grabbed the handle. It opened easily, but what I saw was not so easy to understand. Kaylee was still asleep on the bed, the light shining dimly just above her. 4 tendrils slithered across the floor, then rose up into a space above her head. But instead of reaching out and grabbing my daughter, they were being sucked into oblivion, disappearing impossibly into thin air. The tendrils whipped back and forth at faster and faster rates as they got shorter, in the same way that the end of a piece of spaghetti vibrates electrically before the tip is finally sucked up. In a sudden moment, the tips were all pulled in and disappeared as Kaylee opened her eyes and sat up. She stared at me sleepily. "Dad, I had a really bad dream." That was last night. This morning, we woke up to the ship buzzing with rumors. One of the employees seemed to have disappeared. Nothing has been confirmed for certain. But I don't need confirmation. My daughter accidentally killed someone, and I intentionally let it happen. Nothing can change what just happened. Nothing. But for now, I'm trapped on a ship in the middle of the Caribbean. And I'm terrified about what's gonna happen next. I hope you ghouls enjoyed this Monday story. I really like ones involving kids, especially when they don't get hurt or anything negative. But I really like the thought that she creates the monsters with her dreams. I think that is totally badass, and I love it. So I hope you ghouls liked it too. Question of the day. Are you ghouls doing anything big for Thanksgiving? Is it just like your immediate family? Are you like one of the people who host Thanksgiving at your house and you have like 50 people coming over? Let me know in the comments, because I am cheating Thanksgiving. I am pre-ordering Thanksgiving dinner. My cats are fighting, if you heard that. Yeah, I'm cheating. I ain't got time for that. I gotta go Black Friday shopping. Come on. But as always, ghouls, my last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen, as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.